I shared that New York Post article about Gen Zers and millennials, needing a adult gap year, mini retirements. It's the stress of the modern workforce and everything. And like, again, and I just don't understand that world. It's not mine. But I was confused about the age groups. How old are these people? Gen Zers are 14 to 29, and the millennials are 30 to 45. Are you telling me that someone that's been in the workforce anywhere, if you're a Gen Zer, you hit the workforce when you're 22, maybe 23. So max, you've been in the workforce for 8 years and you already need a mini retirement. It's been stressful for all of the 3 to 8 years that you've been in the workforce that you need a mini retirement or adult gap year because of the rapid change. 8 years max in that age group. And they need mini retirement adult gap years and they're moving home. It's been that rough on them. And the answer, according to the New York Post, is to quit just for a while. Take a break, which is quitting. Wow. It's rough out there, huh? And you know what? They live in a world I don't know. I didn't grow up in their system, so I don't know what their coping mechanisms are. I'm not one of them. So I'm not going to say that's not the right answer, but if that's the answer, woo, whole 5 to 8 years out there, and the answer is to go back home and quit for a while. That's rough. That's that. Good luck. We're joined now on the D4 Land Services hotline by Olin Buchanan. He is with Texags, texags.com, Texags Live, and, well, he likes to hang out with birds in the beach. He's live from the SEC meetings in Destin, Florida. Olin, what's up, brother?
Oh, Lou, I'm just standing out front of the Hilton Sandestin Hotel because I just thought it'd be quieter up here. And looking out on a beautiful golf course and a fountain, and it's been raining a lot, especially yesterday, but today the weather's really nice. So it's a beautiful Florida day.
Am I correct? This is day one of the SEC meetings in Destin?
Well, technically, Greg Sankey was available yesterday to basically say that he still likes a 16-team playoff, and the Big Ten doesn't, and he doesn't think anything's going to be changed this week, and doesn't necessarily agree that everybody in the SEC wants to go to a 24-team playoff like I think Joel Klatt claimed that he was told.
I know that Sankey always talks the day before, I guess the formal part, but from everything I saw, and you can tell me, he didn't have anything new to say. All the talking points he had have been talked about, I argue, 4 to 6 months now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And again, the earth-shattering news was saying we're not going to come up with an agreement or a solution this week. But you know what they get to do? They get to go play on that golf course. They get to go play on that golf course, and they have a really nice reception with all the shrimp you can eat tonight. So, Of course, they're going to do it every year.
What is the general purpose of these meetings? I mean, do things normally happen, or is this a place for public discussion? Is this more of a media show? Like, what are the points of the meeting in Destin every year?
No, I think the main reason they do it is it's a week for their athletic directors and coaches to get together and discuss and debate issues like over the, before in previous years, it might be what they think about going to a 9-game conference schedule as opposed to 8. Should they do it? Why not? And, different people have different opinions. They hash that out, or whatever the prevailing issues are. I'm sure NIL discussions are going on, even though that's gotten old hat. But yeah, I mean, they discuss issues that are relevant in their professions and the way they're doing things. But and then they invite the media along to cover it and ask some of the questions so they get out their message about, hey, this is what we're talking about and this is what we've seen.
Yeah, that sounds good, but nothing ever gets decided or happens there. And by the time something comes across the finish line, it tends to be 3 years and 50 iterations different.
Well, I'll tell you one time it was different was 2 years ago. And there was still this discussion. Are they going to go to 8 or 9 games? What are they going to do? 8 or 9, 8 or 9. And it looked like, okay, they're pushing down, they're kicking the can down the road again. So I left. And I got to the, because I had an early flight, and I got to the airport, and I got a call from another reporter who said, hey, they just announced they're going to 9. So I'll never forget that because they finally did something, and I wasn't there, and I had to bang out an article right quick right up there in the airport because he said, hey, here's the only thing they said, so I had the only pertinent quote, and I had all a lot of the other information ready. In case they did or didn't. So I had like 20 minutes to get an article done. Unfortunately, I knew a lot about what was going on, but I just couldn't believe that they actually finally did something. So it does happen on occasion.
So, okay.
By the way, Elko was great today.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. The coaches seem to take the podium, and I caught a quote here and there from X and Y, but it seemed like everybody there had a lot to say about Elko.
Yeah, he just, he comes out. Look, Eli Drinkwitz is funny, and he's fun and everything. But Elko comes, and he says stuff like, we have no governance. We have no leadership. Everybody's in it for themselves. How are we ever going to, how are we going to do what's best for our game when everyone cares about is what's best for them?
That's the one I shared on air, and that's the one that stood out to me. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. So, here's a guy that'll come out and call out his own industry. He said, what industry does this? We're $1 billion industry. Why can't we find somebody that, can be a unified leader rather than all these different people trying to put in different pockets, trying to put money in their own pockets instead and finding out what's best for them instead of ever coming to a agreement that we got to do what's best for the game. And now you can talk about how nothing ever gets done. Hey, I've been hearing this conversation for 20 years. Why isn't there a commissioner of college football? Or, and things like that. But I just thought, Mike spoke intelligently. I'm not saying Eli Drinkwitz isn't intelligent because he is, but when he does a lot of the, he's almost entertaining. Mike is just like talking, really getting down, past the nonsense. And I'm not saying Eli was about nonsense, but Mike just getting to the point. What are we doing here? Now he jokes too. Someone asked him, what's the right amount of teams for a playoff? And Mike says, I don't know why y'all ask us. We don't have any say about it, meaning the coaches. He said, we don't have any say in it. Every year you come and ask us. But if you want to ask me what I think, he says, I think we should have 40 because that way I can get in and won't have to worry about getting fired, like Mike Elko has to worry about getting fired.
I saw that too. And again, he held court. And he did it just by kind of being honest, right? He didn't have any fancy expressions. He didn't do any, he didn't go into any long stories about being on a mountaintop with a Buddhist monk. He just kind of went honest on you, really, and sincere feeling.
Yeah, this one columnist I know, he's a friend of mine, and he's a columnist in Birmingham. And he came up to me and said, I forgot what everybody else said because I was just so enthralled with what Mike Elko was saying.
And the whole thing about 40 is so dead on. And again, every time you ask any one of these college officials, ADs, head coaches, conference commissioners, they all answer what they would do, what's best for them. There is no thought about what's best for the fan, what's best for the health of the game. Every single individual answers what's best for their position.
But, Mike made the joke about, hey, I'd want 40 teams. But then later, he never gave a number, but he sure seemed to indicate that he favored just a 12-team playoff because he said, hey, I think it's okay to make it hard to get into a playoff. It's supposed to be hard. He says, you look at basketball, they went from 68, and then they said, well, not enough teams got in. Somebody got left out, so we got to bump it up to the 76 or whatever it is. Why? It's supposed to be hard to get into the playoffs. I don't see a problem with making it difficult to get into the playoffs. Now, there's a lot of coaches that are going to vehemently disagree with that because, hey, like he said, if I get into the playoffs, I have a better chance. To keep my job. And you look at the Big Ten, and they want 24. Well, they're a conference that's not as deep as the SEC. We all know this. So it would make sense that they want 24 teams then, because if you have 24, and you had 16. See, they're not on. They don't even want 16. But had you had 16, I think you had 5 SEC teams in the playoff last year. Well, if you had 16, you would have added Vanderbilt, and you would have added Texas, and maybe one more. Maybe Iowa would have gotten in from the Big Ten along with BYU, maybe. And Missouri would have still been out there saying, hey, pick me, pick me, pick me. But it would have been Vanderbilt. So you would have had 7 teams from the SEC if you had a 16 playoff, and still at the most you would have had from the Big Ten was 4 or 5. Well, they're saying, hey, let's go to 24. So then maybe Iowa definitely gets in, maybe Michigan gets in, and USC.
So you're out of SEC teams at that point. So now you have to go to the Tier 2, which is the Big Ten.
And history showed us that the SEC is gonna. There may be one year that is a aberration, but the SEC shown us that every year you're going to have 5, 6, 7 teams that, if not more, that are going to be in contention and maybe get in the playoff. Whereas history showed in the Big Ten, even though they have more teams in the SEC and an easier road to hoe, because look, the bad teams in the SEC are better than the bad teams in the Big Ten. And,
in the mid too.
Yeah. And so the Big Ten, they're looking out for themselves, of course. And they're saying, hey, let's get 24 in, because that way more Big Ten teams are going to get in.
So let me ask you, do you blame anyone for that? Because to me, that's human nature, right? So I don't actually blame anyone for it. It's the most natural response in the world. And to answer otherwise is almost kind of bizarre. It's against human nature.
I don't necessarily blame anybody for it. What I can't understand is why, the same thing Mike can't understand, why something has not, why there's never been a move to put all of college football under one umbrella. And I don't mean the NCAA, because the NCAA has no fine, but because it has hate about cheating. It says, yeah, rules are great if you're going to enforce them, and if you're going to have legitimate consequences, yeah, then everybody will fall in line. But you got to enforce them, and they don't. So, why isn't there? Again, why isn't there a commissioner? Why isn't there an entity that provides, that oversees all officials and all across the country, not SEC officials, Big Ten officials, so on and so forth? Those are, how money is distributed. Why isn't there that? You would think with, maybe 40 years ago, 30 years ago even, it wasn't as big a deal because maybe we still weren't making as much money. But now that it's a legitimate multi-billion-dollar industry, somebody said, "Hey, Mike, well, you've been a coach, you're an Ivy League guy. Why don't you take that job?" He says, I love this. He said, "I'm not qualified. I'm a football coach. I don't run billion-dollar industries. We need to find somebody that can step in and run a billion-dollar industry and understand what that takes and how to get the best from it." So, I think Mike was the star of the show today.
Yeah. Anyone else? Because I haven't had the chance. I've been on air for the most part to go through it all, which I'll do this afternoon. Any other coach, any other quote, any other moment from the coaches portion of the SEC, meetings in Destin?
Well, I have to admit I didn't hear them all. Like, for instance, when Mike finishes at the podium, he goes outside and he'll talk to a few more reporters that are there. Well, I have to be where Mike is, right? So Steve Sarkisian went directly after Mike, and I wasn't in there to hear him.
Oh, because I want to
then,
see who he takes a shot at next. This
Right,
new version of
absolutely.
Steve Sarkisian absolutely fascinates me.
Right. So yeah, I wanted to be in there, but it was just I couldn't. And then so I heard before Mike, I heard Eli Drinkwitz and Clark Lee from Vanderbilt, and then Kalen DeBoer from Alabama, who I really think he should. I hate to be mean, but he should just start changing his name from DeBoer to DeBoer. You've got to talk about getting asked a direct question. Hey, how do you feel about how many teams do you think should be in the playoff? He's like, well, I know that some want 12 and some want 24 and some want 16. And, I can see the argument for all of them. And all I care about is winning every game. Why don't you just say, I don't have an opinion if you're going to, if you're, all I care about is winning every game.
That was politician level. That was what you expected, like a presidential debate answer.
And just consider his predecessor, would have had an opinion.
Well,
and everybody would have been hanging on the edge of their seat to hear that opinion.
Saban would have told us he favors 13, and he'd have told us why 13 is the best, and we're all idiots.
Pretty much, yeah. He would have. And so, look, it is an event with some value. They've talked about maybe you wonder about what the history SEC championship game is. And, I think there's some coaches that don't care and actually would rather the SEC championship games go away because here's what they're saying. Look, we're going to 9 conference games, and so that's going to make the grind even worse. And then you want the teams to get 2 teams to go play a conference championship game and then go into the playoff. And, we have so much talent as it is, and it's such a grind, and now you're making the grind grindier. But then Eli comes on and says, I want us to have it. We should always have the SEC championship game. He says there's something special about leaving the field holding up a trophy, and maybe that's passe and old fashioned, but I kind of agree with that. Clark Lee was another guy that saw some value in playing the conference championship game, but it should be pointed out that neither of those guys had to play in it and then play for and then go into the playoff the next week or 2 weeks later,
That's how I see it. I'm from they're part of an outdated system world, okay? Because the college football playoff, winning in it, preparing for it is more important. I believe that weekend should turn into the college football play-in games, and I think people will have a very positive response to it.
Well, okay, but who are when you say the play-in games, it's not the 2 top teams from each conference, right? So it can't be.
They get the buys. Look, in the future, if we have 24 teams in, actually, let me grab a timeout, come back. We can pick up right there, and we can have some fun with this, okay?
Okay.
Olin Buchanan, Texags, Texags.com, Texags Live. I don't know, maybe he has Texags underwear. He's from everything Texags. Joining us on the D4 Land Services hotline, he's live from the SEC meetings in Destin, and we'll pick up the conversation when we return. It's the Louis Bellina Show, Tuesday on The Zone.
We are going. Are you ready? The Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, where it's not how good you are, but how bad you want it.
It's time. Here we go.
Let's go. We get to hang out with Olin Buchanan. He's with Texags, Texags Live, Texags.com. And today, he's in beautiful Destin, Florida, where, according to Juan, Obie's there for the tan and endless shrimp, which I don't have a problem with that. He's also there to cover the SEC meetings. Olin, is it all about the shrimp and the tan?
Well, shrimp's one night. Yeah, that I'm not going to get tan. I've been here, I think it's like 7 years in a row, and my foot has not touched sand yet because there's actually a lot of work to do.
I almost believe you. You had me there for a second until the end.
I've already sent several videos to our young lady that runs our social media for her to get out and post on all these social media accounts we have, and tweeted some things that different coaches have said, and as soon as I get finished with you, I'm going to be back writing a column, and then I've got Bucky McMillan having a press conference around 5:10, I think it is. So I'll be taking some more videos and maybe writing something else, depending on if he says anything writable. I mean, not writable, notable.
I was going to say, what he's going to go there dropping F-bombs? I mean, what do you mean? I mean, how's he going to do unwritable?
Well, I mean, I'll say writable sometimes. That's my own word, I think. When I say, man, that's writable. But in this case, I'm just, talking to other people, I'm saying, I mean, notable. I mean, if he says something like, I don't care what the NCAA rules are, I'm going to sign every, or maybe I'm going to sign every G League player I can find, and if the NCAA tries to block it, I've got a couple of judges in my pocket. If he says that, I might write that, but I bet he doesn't.
I don't think so either. Even though if he did, okay, I'd have breaking. We cover stuff. I'd have to drive in and turn a mic on. I mean, yeah, that'd be pretty fascinating. We were talking about play-in game weekend. In a 2014 playoff, and I'm pretty sure the big boy leagues, they want automatic bids. They want to eliminate the committee as much as they can, I think, as a part of the storyline that right now we're arguing over the number. So if the SEC has 4 automatic bids, part of the thought process is this. The top 2 teams get a bye, and then 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5, and the 2 winners would get an automatic bye. So instead of having one SEC championship, that Saturday would then have 2 play-in games.
Okay.
And it's inventory.
Who's playing?
What's that?
Who's playing in that playing game?
3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5.
From the SEC?
Yeah. And the Big Ten could do the same thing. And you would have play-in game weekend.
What if you're like A&M last year, and you're technically third because you didn't play in the championship game, but you're already in? You're in. No. Those thoughts are dead.
That system doesn't exist anymore.
So we're not going to have, we're still going to have 12 games to judge a record on.
Well, you better win the playing game or then you go to the committee. The leagues, conferences want to get rid of committee influence.
Okay. Here's my deal. If they go to 24, when do you have the playoff game or the conference championship game, or in your
conference play-in, college football play-in, when the conference championship games were?
Yeah, but no, because you got to have if you go to 24, you have to have another round.
Oh, if we start playing in week 0, if they go to 24, they're going to have to start playing in week 0, if not earlier. Everything's going to get pulled up.
Now, understand, they want to. They're trying to. I think they want the semifinals in a perfect world. In a perfect world, I think they want the semifinals to be on New Year's Day, and then the championship game to be like 10 days or 2 weeks later.
Yeah, so, look, if they go to 24, a lot of things have to change. I feel like 24 is the ultimate game changer of the game as we know it. And people say that all the time. It's nice, big, and dramatic. I actually think it's real.
Oh, I think it'll happen. I think 24 is going to happen. It may not happen for at least 6 years because the SEC and ESPN have not ESPN, the SEC and the Mercedes Stadium or whatever where the Falcons play in Atlanta.
Yeah,
they have a contract to play that game there for 6 more years. I think it goes until 2031.
And allegedly,
I know contracts are made to be broken, but I don't know if contracts have been made to be broken when it's a big money maker.
Well, allegedly, and I've heard this, that the value of that championship game to the SEC, which of course everything means more, is like 91 mil. It's the TV maker. And more.
Yeah, huge money maker.
Yeah, so
and ESPN wants it.
Yeah, again, for the SEC, they might be the only conference that actually rolls big money on their championship game, which would explain the not the only reason, but one of the reasons why the SEC is so hesitant to get rid of a championship game. Even though for Sankey, his own coaches all came out against it.
Some of them.
Well, the ones that count. Nice for Eli Drinkwitz, but Kirby Smart's more important.
Yeah, he has a louder voice. There's no question about that. No question about that. And that goes back to the whole attrition thing. Because he's worried about, I get through the SEC, and then I've got to play for a conference championship, and that's just one more punch that I have to absorb to go into the next before I go into the next fight.
So I'm talking, you're talking, Sankey's talking, Petit's talking, everybody's talking. Is there any realistic timeline for this to all be sorted out? Because, allegedly it was before this year, before next year.
No, I think they have to. For some reason, I was reading, and they got to make a decision by December 1st.
Or they just put it off a year.
Or put it off, yeah, for the next year. They want to do this in, say, 27 maybe, then you got to have it all figured out by December 1st.
Okay. Again, I just as
Supposedly.
all the data points keep changing, the financials keep changing, I just keep wondering in my own head, is there actually a drop dead date or will all the data change? Will they go, no, we need 32 now, or wait, we can't afford it, we need to drop down to 10? Do the parameters keep changing around all this?
Probably. I mean, it is college sports. I mean, how long did it take them to stop voting on national champions? And then they said, okay, we're going to go to a BCS, and we're going to let two computers tell you who the best teams are. And is that now we're not going to go to computers. We're going to let committees. And then, and all of this happened over the course of decades. So why do we think suddenly things are going to get fixed quickly now, especially when you have even less unity now than you probably did then?
I will say that I miss the computers of all the dead systems, because with the computers, we had no one to argue with.
The only problem, here's the deal with I think the computers are a better system than a committee, because a computer doesn't have an inherent bias, right? So that sounded great until the computer still had Oklahoma playing for the national championship against LSU in 2003 after they had gotten curb stomped by Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game. And it should have been USC, undefeated USC. I think they were undefeated, but it should have been USC against LSU. But the computer spit it out that even though Kansas State had absolutely, mauled OU still had the computer point. So I guess you got to get the guys that can refine the computers a little bit. But I still think that's better than having a committee, because you got guys that, like when you have Barry Alvarez, who loves power football, and if he sees a team that's playing up tempo, throw the ball around, he probably says that's not football. I mean, that's not really good football. You can't sustain it with that. So a good football team is that team that's going to run the power, even though that team that throws around might take his power team, to the woodshed.
Yeah, that goes back to the human nature thing. And that's why I hate committees and all committees of any kind, because you can't help but be human. It's not personal. They all have a predisposed prejudice, bias of believing what's right, no matter how much analytics you give them.
Right, like in 2020 when A&M got left out, well, we've seen that game. We've seen that Alabama A&M game because they already played. Yeah, but Alabama was doing that to everybody and did it to everybody in the playoff too. You could have, a computer might have seen, well, wait a minute, let's look at all the teams everybody's played and how successful those teams are. And, I think an unbiased opinion would have spit out A&M as, probably getting a rematch with A&M with Alabama. Probably would have lost again, but still deserved to have an opportunity.
Absolutely. OB, quick timeout. Let's come back and hang out some more.
All right.
Olin Buchanan of Texags, Texags.com. The Texags universe hangs out with us every Tuesday, but this Tuesday, he's in Destin. That's somewhere in Florida. I didn't look it up on a map. And he's at the SEC meetings, and we're talking SEC football, college football, and more. Olin Buchanan on the D4 Land Services hotline. If you ever need your land fixed up, your land cleared, or your land excavated, go check out d4landservices.com. d4landservices.com.
Your home for the Houston Astros is Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
Olin, I'm sure you've heard about the great injustice and the tragedy, but the Aggie baseball team, they're the 12 seed, and they got USC as their 2 seed. I'm pretty sure at some point there will be a federal investigation into this.
Yeah, it's another example of an NCAA committee kind of screwing A&M over. Apparently they keep talking about how, A&M's non-conference schedule wasn't that strong. Okay, so you're saying that they should have, maybe canceled some of their non-conference games toward the end of the year? What about how strong their conference schedule was? Because Georgia is hosting, Texas is hosting, Florida's hosting, Alabama's hosting, Mississippi State's hosting. I'm probably leaving somebody out. And Auburn. I don't know if I said that, but anyway, the point is they finished third in what they can't. The NCAA's own ranking show is by far the strongest college baseball conference in the country. And you finished third in that conference while beating Texas in a series, which, by the way, is a top 8 seed. And was Florida a top 8 seed? I think they were.
Florida ended up, Florida was like 7, weren't they? 8? Or no, 8. They were 8 because it was Bama 7 and Florida 8.
So I personally can't get my mind around the fact that A&M won a series at Florida and finished ahead of Florida in the conference standings, and yet probably has, if not the same amount of wins, I mean, one more, one less, than Florida. And all that tells me that they're a 12th seed. I don't get that. I thought at worst they'd be a 10 because I was listening to what other people say but I don't know where 12 comes into that. I really don't. And then you said, well, they lost, they didn't play well down the stretch. Okay. Well, they lost 2 out of 3 to Auburn. Okay. Again, we talked about where Auburn's really good. And they got blown out in the first game, but I think it was the last game came down. It was a 1-run game, very competitive. And then, they won a series over Mississippi State, which I believe Mississippi State, correct me if I'm wrong, that they're like a number 16 seed.
14. Yeah.
14 seed.
Yeah.
So once again, and then, did they lose in the conference tournament? Yeah. I can remember when the conference, obviously, sports are different, but I can remember a conference tournament in basketball, and they said, no, the conference tournament doesn't matter. So it seems where A&M's concerned is sometimes conference championships matter, sometimes they don't. But when they don't, it's always to A&M's detriment. I can't figure out how you can say that a team that beat Texas and Florida in a series, and as well as finishing third in the SEC, is only a 12 seed. That doesn't make sense. Why? Because I think A&M plays Houston. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think A&M plays Houston this year. Well, Houston is historically a very strong baseball program, is it not?
Yeah. Yes. They're traditionally very good.
So if Houston was bad this year, it's A&M's fault for scheduling them. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can't help. You schedule teams out of, Arizona State. You played Arizona State. That's traditionally a really strong program. Now, I don't even know how they did this year. I know you scheduled UCLA, and they were number 1. So, I'll say this. Do you need to get away from playing Tennessee Tech hell yeah, you need to. That's nothing more than a glorified scrimmage. Your second teamers are always going to be Tennessee Tech. So, yeah, get away from playing that game, but everybody plays some of the cream puffs. And maybe, in the future, look for one more opponent instead of the Tennessee Tech non-conference game. Maybe play Baylor if they do it, right? To get a little bit stronger schedule, because that's the only – I don't even think they should have applied, but that's the only that's really the only detraction you could have from the A&M schedule. You know, they only finished 4-6 in their last 10. They got blown out in their last game. Texas got blown out in its last game. It's a top, it's a top 6 seed. So am I wrong, or did Arkansas take Texas to the woodshed in the first game of the SEC tournament, just like Auburn did? And Auburn's a much better team than Arkansas. So, see, I can go on and on. I can win this case in a court of law. I just can't win it in an NCAA committee.
Yeah, A&M's non-conference strength of schedule was 212.
Right, and some of that's not their fault, but some of it is, and they gotta. I know you're going to come out with some really bad teams early, and they always have. But Tennessee Tech, I think it was, upgraded a little bit, and then find another team that doesn't have to be great, but is typically pretty good. And
Georgia Tech, who's the number 2 overall seed, had a non-conference strength of schedule of 179. And Georgia, the SEC champion, had a non-conference strength of schedule of 227. Now, they took care of their business and were champions. But still, I'm just showing those out as they didn't let the committee decide their fate.
Right, and I don't think the committee should. I think A&M should have been 8 seed, but for the reasons I just said. But I saw, heard about it. Okay, maybe fall to 10, but I just think it's what you just said, that those teams didn't put it in the hands of a committee, and hopefully A&M in all sports sooner rather than later will get to a degree where they don't have to put anything in the hands of a committee. See, I thought the football team I've always thought the football team should have been number 4, seeded 4th instead of 5th. Why? They had the same number of losses as Texas Tech, which was 4, but Texas Tech lost to Arizona State. A&M lost to Texas. Well, Texas is a better team than Arizona State. And then I'm going to say A&M had a win over Notre Dame. Who's Texas Tech's best win against? BYU. And then A&M played in a stronger conference. So I thought that A&M should have been 4th. And I know Texas Tech won the Big 12. Yeah, yawn. To me, that's just another example of A&M not getting the benefit of the doubt from a committee, and never do. So you got to get to that point where the committee's a non-factor.
And the way you do that is by winning. Like A&M's got this. Just win your regional. Just show it doesn't matter. Now, you can make the argument, if we'd have hosted a super instead of road, we can win. But win your regional. Don't do the dumb stuff, Yeah.
Got to win your regional and then see what happens after that. And quite frankly, they got to play better. That looked like. I'm not saying they were disinterested, but that looked like a disinterested team. I know Auburn's really good and that pitcher's really good, but he ain't shut you out and make you look silly good.
Well, not if you're a top 8. If you're a top 8 seed and you're a top 8 seed because you have one of the best offenses in the country, you don't get shut out.
Yeah, and you got to, they leave a lot of guys on base. They strike out a ridiculous amount. The defense can be up and down, and the pitching's erratic. But when they are locked in and they're playing, when you get the best version of A&M, they can beat anybody. And so hopefully we'll see the best version of A&M. Guys completely locked in, not making any bonehead plays, not chasing pitches out of the strike zone and then letting those that go right down the middle take them for a strike, right? We see some of that. So hopefully we'll just see the best version of them.
Olin.
And if we don't, we can't complain about them being ranked 12th.
That's my point. Always my point. Olin, go enjoy the shrimp. I'll talk to you next week. Be awesome, brother. Travel safe.
We'll see you, Lou.
Later. Olin Buchanan on the D4 Land Services Hotline. Up next, when we return, Community Spotlight, Brazos Valley Food Bank. This is the Louis Bellina Show, Tuesday on the Zone.
The Louis Bellina Show.
Who is it?
Participation is rewarded. The ticket booth is brought to you by Dixie Tire Company. Listen in weekdays 11 to 2 on the Zone.
It is the community calendar. We visit with another nonprofit in the Brazos Valley, Bryan College Station. And the last Tuesday of each month, it is the Brazos Valley Food Bank. Katie joins us inside the Charles Schwab studio. How are you?
Doing fantastic. So glad to be here.
You bring a smile to my face. I don't know the why part of it. You seem to have a light to you. You have a message. You have a purpose. And I don't know. Every time you stop by, I'm like, all right, she's ready to go. She's fired up. She has something to say.
Well, that's what it's all about. I'm excited to be here because we have exciting things to talk about, right?
Well, I know last time we talked, you're like, okay, these are the initiatives. This is what we have coming up. And summer, people are like, oh, it's officially on this. No. It's officially like June. It's officially when it's hot. And for the Brazos Valley Food Bank, June starts your summer.
That's right. June, and it's a wonderful time of year where everyone's enjoying their summer, but it's also a time where the Brazos Valley Food Bank sees an increased need in our community. We see children and families who need a little bit more help because those kids aren't getting the meals from school for breakfast and lunch. We're seeing seniors on fixed income who are seeing higher utility bills, need a little extra help with food, and really people all across the Brazos Valley just need that extra help during the summer because we all know our utility bills go up. We all know the price of food right now at the grocery store. It just helps to offer resources during the summer when people need it.
So there's so many reasons. There's not a reason, but
Right.
life.
That's
Life is
right.
why the summer, the need
That's
goes
true.
up.
Yes.
And what can people do then to help you? Because all June long, that's your priority.
Yes, and so wonderfully, KBTX partners with the Brazos Valley Food Bank every June to host the Summer Hunger Food Drive to help meet that need that we see across the Brazos Valley. And so all month long in June, launching June 1st and actually going through July 1st, technically.
Okay, extra day. Let's take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. They host the Summer Hunger Food Drive, and there's locations across the Bryan College Station area where you can make those food donations or monetary donations to help out with that need.
So it is the June and July 1st. June Summer Hunger Food Drive with the Brazos Valley Food Bank. Where can they go to get the info? Because it's always like, hey, they're hearing us now, but 2 days from now, 5 days from now, wait a minute, I forgot the key parts. Where can they go?
That's right. You can go to any of the drop-off locations for information, or you can go to our website at bvfb.org. It's under our community events page that you can find all of the information. But Paradowski Law, Amarillo National Bank, any of their locations, Aggieland Roofing, KBTX, which is sponsored by G Squared, or the Brazos Valley Food Bank, they're all taking donations. They can all give you more information.
So you can stop by. Those are the drop-off locations. But again, if you forget those, if you can't remember bvfb.org, then I can't help you. bvfb.org. It is the all June long, it is the Summer Hunger Food Drive. And it's all summer long that this need is going to be increased. It's
That's
not
right.
just June.
That's correct.
So be a part. And then if July and August hit and you're like, hey, I still want to be involved, you can. They don't just in June go, okay, leave us alone now. It doesn't work that. It's all summer long. And you have this list, suggested shopping list
Yes.
of the most needed items. What are the most needed items?
Yeah, I'm going to run down the list and give you a quick explanation. So there's peanut butter, mixed fruit, cereal, pinto beans, green beans, mixed vegetables, spaghetti, tuna, corn. The reason these items are on here is they're nutritious, they're easy, there's protein sources on there, and a lot of these items are what anyone would go to the grocery store and get for themselves, because that's our goal, is having nutritious food that anyone would want to take home with them.
You can find this list, again, bvfb.org, and conducting food drive. You can find out more information. Just get involved, help out, especially at a time where it is the most needed, and that is summer, where the need for food goes up across the board for all the different categories people of need. bvfb.org, and it's under the community events.
Yes, it's under the community events page. You can find it on the homepage. There's a link at the top for community events. It's super easy to access if you go to bvfb.org. Hey, maybe you can even get your office together and collect a few canned goods and drop them off. So,
Katie, thank you so much. Thank you for what you do. Like I said, you bring a smile when you can show up here, and thank you for just sharing the message.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you, Louie, for having us on.
I'll be back tomorrow at 11. What we're going to do, I don't know. That's a day away. I haven't thought that far in advance. Thank you for everybody hanging out with me. Thank you to Olin, Destin, Florida, joining us on the D4 Land Services hotline. Oh, tomorrow's Tony Catalina of Gig'em 247. Another Bluebell ice cream review. That's what we live for in the summer, too.
It's free. It's free. And emailed to you daily. Sign up for the Zone All Access newsletter at zone1150.com. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Start your day with the guests for TexAgs Live, the Louie Bellina Show, and Chip Howard Sports Talk. Plus, get the latest programming news and notes, contest signups and reminders, and find out when and where your favorite teams play. It's the Zone All Access newsletter. The Zone All Access newsletter. And you can sign up now at zone1150.com. That's zone1150.com.